I believe that there is human nature, and that good, what we consider to be good or virtuous and what we consider to be bad are all in us, in each and every individual. But that as conscious beings, we are able to discern what we consider good and to develop that and to suppress the bad side in us. The jealousy, the unkindness, the desire to dominate and kill and so on. All these desires are in us. But the more we become aware of them, the more we are able to control them, to restrain them. And that is part of reason. We are endowed with reason. There are more and more people coming up and attacking reason and saying that's not the case. But I do believe that all of us are born with it. It doesn't mean to say we are all born reasonable, but the faculty is there. When you ask me this question, the first book that pops up in my mind is Norbert Elias's Road to Civilization. Where he describes what we were before we were civilized, all the way to how we've come to evolve and change. The Greeks and the way they lived, and how everything after, for a long time, we lost all that knowledge. And fortunately, because it was saved, we could revert back to it. What is the constant? The constant is the curiosity, consciousness, having to deal with the question of death. That has made some human minds to be so creative as to invent the hereafter and so on, and others to go quite in the opposite direction. If I compare first, say, Islam or the Islamic world versus European Americans, Western world, I would say one is knowledge-based. The institutions that we have in the West have been inspired by the thinkers of the Enlightenment. Human freedom, create the conditions for humans to be free and to pursue their happiness, with incremental changes here and there. This conflict, you talk it out and you have all that. At least you try and resolve it as much as possible through words. And by knowledge-based, I mean there's this constant desire to innovate, constant research is going on. Science is a major part of that. Religion has been pushed back to the private sphere, or it's become part of the civil, or it's pluralistic. People respect each other's religions or not having one. There's a whole debate on the place of government and capitalism and that kind of thing, but basically it's knowledge-based. If I can convince you that my idea is better by presenting you with the evidence, you've been trained to at least entertain them, even if you don't accept them. The Muslim world, on the other hand, is not evidence-based, it's dogma-based. There's the tradition of the tribe, there's the bloodline, there's the Quran, there is God, these things don't change. We do things the way we used to do. We don't record history, we don't. So that's responsible also for part of the backwardness. What is the difference between America and US? America and Europe, as I observe it, but that's more in their response to the Islamic challenge. Americans are still very experimental, still very much, we've done it, we're a young nation, we can change the world, versus those within the US who say, no, we should not interfere with the affairs of other countries and other nations unless our own, the American interest is threatened in any way. Europe is the old continent. They think that they've seen it all, they've had it all, and they've come to the conclusion, at least part of the leadership has come to the conclusion, we can resolve all problems by avoiding violence. I think that is really wrong. I agree more with the Americans who say you ought to be prepared to defend freedom, not only with words, but also through military means. In other words, you ought to be willing to give your sons and daughters up for it. I hope that the transatlantic relationship will improve, in which case the Europeans should be willing to ally with and learn more from America and not rival or enhance the rivalry. Because after 1989 and the EU, there's been this mindset within Europe that America is a rival, and I think that's a very dangerous idea today.